Hello again guys, Honest EDC here. I'm not sure if this was an open tag or even if it was a tag at all, but I've just picked out my 5 favourite knives from my collection. My collection isn't completely extensive of all knives in the knife world, but these are my favourites. A couple of them have got little stories behind them. I'll try and not take too long with this video, and we'll start right to left. So first of all, we have the Ontario Rat 2 coated blade. As you can see, it's had a fair bit of use, this one, a bit scuffed up. Coating isn't great on these knives. It does come off relatively easily, but it was a present from my wife. The AUS 8 steel, sorry, really easy to sharpen, takes a hair shaving edge. Doesn't last that long, but as I say, dead easy to sharpen, so not a major problem. It's one of my favourites. The action on it for a knife that cost, I think it's a few years ago now, but at the time cost about, I think, 25 quid. You really can't knock it. It's one of the best budget knives out there. Thumb flick, middle finger flick, if you can get it in the right place. Dead easy. And if you want, nice controlled rollout as well, if you don't want to scare people. But great knife. Plasticky scales, bit of grip on them, but not too aggressive when it's coming in and out of the pocket. But as I say, it's one of the first knives my wife bought me, and is one of my primary users. Next one is the Benchmade Mini Griptilian sheep's foot with the Spidey hole, if you will. Looking at the Spyderco Dragonfly there for its own eye. But I love the blade shape on this one. We get a little bit of focus. There we go, and it's I always want to say CPM 154. It's not. That's the higher end steel. 154 cm. I'm sure I'm not the only person who gets confused with those two, but it jumps into my head sometimes. But 154 cm steel, again, plasticky kind of handles, but not too grippy that they rip your pocket up. There's not a huge amount that I can say about this knife that hasn't been said already, apart from it's bloody brilliant. I love it. The action with the access lock is just brilliant. I give it a little middle finger flick as well. This was the first knife. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll open them up as well as I'm going through. The Mini Grip was the first knife that brought me into being a bit more serious about knife collecting. I'd had a lot of more ninja type stuff. If you don't know what that is, Google it. Kind of big Rambo knives and all that sort of stuff. I picked up when I was a little bit older, kind of just a few years ago, when I started being what I like to think of as a knife hobbyist. I'm not a hard user. I'm not a hardcore collector. Haven't got the money for it. But a hobbyist is the way that I look at it, and I do use my knives as well. There's only really one here that hasn't been used, and I'll get into that in a bit. But yeah, the Benchmade Mini Grip brought me into the collecting world of kind of higher end knives compared to, you know, your gas station knives, petrol station knives. You don't get knives at petrol stations here in the UK, but you know what I mean. The next one here, Dragonfly. I've got a couple of these. This is the ZDP 189 version. It does get a fair bit of use, this one, and it was actually it was a gift. So basically what happened is I had this knife. I purchased this knife myself. It's got a bit of gunk on it here. You can see it. It does get used, this one. So I had that exact knife, the ZDP 189 Dragonfly 2, Spyderco Dragonfly 2, and I had it in my pocket one day. I was in the woods and got home, couldn't find it. It's gone. I hope someone who kind of can understand and appreciate what it is, found it and is enjoying it now. And I put a post on the internet saying, oh, I'm sad, I lost a knife, lost my first good knife, blah, blah, blah. A lovely guy from Sweden messaged me saying, I have that exact knife if you would like it. I messaged him back saying, well, how much would you like for it? He said, I don't want anything for it. I was a little bit confused, a little bit concerned, but we had a bit of a back and forth, bit of a conversation, and he ended up sending that to me in the post here in the UK, and I was very, very grateful for it. I actually sent him a knife in return. He didn't want anything in return, but I insisted. So I sent him through a serrated Spyderco Delica with a nice lanyard on it as well, as an appreciation for his generosity. Next one, and well, it's a classic, isn't it? Doesn't need much introduction. Spyderco Paramilitary 2, or Para 2, or PM 2, whatever you prefer. It's a great knife, gets a bit of use, this one. It's a little bit big for me just to go in my pocket, but maybe as a camp knife or something like that, it would be great. And for people who, you know, perhaps have harder working jobs than I do, but a great knife all round. You know, if you look up lists of the 10 best EDC knives, it's going to be on the majority of them. The one thing that gets me about it, and if I was looking for a harder use knife, I don't think I would pick the PM2, is how fine that tip is. Let's see if we can just get it in focus. I think I could snap that off pretty easily, to be honest. But a great knife, lots of belly on it. S30V, pretty easy to sharpen and to maintain, to keep a decent edge on, and retains that edge for a long time. G10 on the scales, they are nice and grippy, but again, not too aggressive on your pockets. And then last but not least, probably my favourite, the Zero Tolerance 0450, and it's just a lovely knife. It doesn't get much use, this one. It is a bit of a safe queen for me. A couple of little marks on it there. I think I used it to open an envelope the other day. I might have a bit of glue on it. But just a wonderful knife. I mean, the ergonomics in the handle maybe could be slightly better for my big fat fingers. I find that this little bump here does kind of jab into my finger a little bit, so I tend to kind of lean back and get my finger on there, a bit like with the end of the Dragonfly, where it has the kind of cut off scale where you can rest your finger nicely on the end there. I feel like I can get a better grip on the Dragonfly than on the ZT, for that matter. But anyway, they're my favourite knives from my collection. Hope you've enjoyed. Cheers guys, take care.